Well, Mark, how would just when you evaluate the whole special teams, it looks like there's been a lot of positives. You can take anything that kind of stands out the first 3 games of what you wanted to accomplish that you have been able to.
Yeah, again, each game, it's never as good as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is, phase by phase or overall, until you really sit down and break it down. We've done some good things in the return game and with Malik Fleming at punt returner. Obviously, Matt with the great individual effort and the touchdown return this past week, and Parker Jenkins as an off returner has really shown. I mean, both times he's gotten the ball in his hands, he's done good things with it, which hopefully that deters some people from continually kicking away from Matt. But we'll have a plan for that. Lane, I think, has had a really good start to the season. He's been consistent. Same thing with Jack. We knew that we had 2 really experienced long snappers with Gavin and Garza, who've both been really solid. The coverage teams have been good. There's always room for improvement. We've reached our goal in terms of not allowing them to reach a certain yard line for the majority of the season. But again, shuffling through personnel, you're never going to be satisfied. I think the biggest improvement last week, for the most part, was especially on kickoff return, was the other 10 guys doing their job. Couple that with Matt being able to break a few tackles, which led to an explosive return. We've just got to become more consistent across all phases of 11 guys doing their job at once, not having a breakdown here or a breakdown there that leads to a potential flipping the field or a potential big play that ends up hurting us. And showing the guys yesterday, it's that close. All it takes is one breakdown, and it goes from a potentially game-changing play for us to something that kills the momentum and turns momentum onto our opponent's side. So we've got to be more consistent in terms of all 11 guys doing their job at once.
Can you walk us through the golden return? That was a pretty good angled kick, right?
Yeah, so we knew just from watching last year and early this year that TCU was going to try and put the ball deep in the corner. Based on what return we have, we kind of have some ground rules in terms of how obviously how deep a kick is or how wide a kick is if we want to bring that out. So after the first 2 touchbacks, we widened Matt a little bit. We had a boundary return on and told him I gave him a couple more yards into the end zone just to be able to bring it out. And good job of tracking the ball. Really good job of setting his track once he caught the ball to help our kick out blocks, which we stressed. Great job on the double team by Hassan Hippolyte and Chris Pearson, and then our kick out blocks by Aaron Willis and Matt Burns were excellent to get it started. Parker Jenkins did a really good job of leading up to the safety, but again, our guys know what our rule is in terms of setting up that track, and that's something that they can do with their initial angle that really helps set up the blocks of everyone else. We got up to their middle of the field and field safety. Matt was able to make those guys miss, and again, a great job on our double team staying on and finishing. I mean, they had that guy all the way in the middle of the field and finished on the double team as he broke those tackles. And Stefan Johnson, really good job of continuing to play, not being a spectator and working upfield to get just enough of their kicker to spring Matt.
Has Parker Jenkins been working with kick return? Obviously not starting, but has he been working since he got here?
Yes. In the summertime, it was something that we did once or twice a week, and we had a huge group of guys. But really, all of those guys, Matt spent a lot of time early in the season at off returner. He's gotten the main returner reps. Peyton Sawyer does both. We started with Parker at both, and then kind of settled just with his body type. And how physical he can be. And obviously with his speed and what he can do with the ball in his hands, he's the perfect guy for that off returner spot. But we double train all those guys at both. Just it happened the same thing last year. We had an injury where Matt Golden was the off returner, and we moved Peyton Sawyer from returner to off returner and moved Jason to returner. So all those guys know both spots.
Mark, on the coverage teams, I remember, I guess maybe in the past, it seemed like it was just an opportunity to get guys in there, but now you use a lot of, starters, a lot of guys that see play both ways. Are y'all the same way? Do y'all use quite a bit of the guys that are regular, like Hassan, for instance?
Yes, well, and Hassan obviously, he's played all over the place for us on defense. He's been almost strictly a coverage unit guy for us each of the last 2 years. But and I give credit to him. He came to me this offseason and told me, he's like, Coach, this is my last year. I want to do everything. Put me on all four. And he has worked himself into one of our better guys. On both punt return and kickoff return. Now, obviously, and you balance this out. It goes day by day, week by week. As guys' roles on offense and defense increase, you may have to subtract a little bit from special teams, just in terms of overall snaps. But yeah, it starts from the top with Coach Holgerson. Both, and Coach Belk is the same way. We need our best 11 players out there on the field at all times. And obviously, we want depth, and we're going to be able to rotate and roll guys in. But if you're a starter, on offense and defense, you're going to be on at least one special team, potentially a backup on another. And again, that's for us now. And I think that's something everybody gets taught the drill work in spring ball and in fall camp to just to evaluate, but also as the season goes on, and it's already happened. Initial depth charts from week one are drastically different from what they are going into week 4. So training as many people as possible so you can get that next best guy in.
When you have a guy like Jack who had to come in and had a lot of field goal opportunities he was here in the spring, I believe, right?
Yes.
So you get him in the spring to the season. Early on, was there any hesitancy about, okay, this guy hasn't been, or did you feel like the best way to do it is just, you run him out there and see what he can do?
Yeah, he had a really good spring ball. We knew he was accurate. He has great height and lift on the ball. I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, he had more leg strength in the spring than I thought. Not to say that I was worried about his leg strength, but it was more impressive than what I was anticipating. And the work that he put in from the time he got here in January until now, I mean, he's put on about 15, 20, 22 pounds and of good weight. I mean, it doesn't look like he's gained over 20 pounds, but he improved his leg strength, and he's a worker. It means a lot to him. He's competitive, and he's put the work and the effort in, and obviously just continuing to keep him confident and keep him in the right frame of mind. We trust him to go out there and take long field goals and make long field goals, and we're going to continue to do that just based on situation.
You said that when overall snaps increase, their participation in special teams decreases. When do you find out during the week what that's going to look like?
It's day by day. It's a little hectic, to be honest with you, because just based on a guy tweaks something on Tuesday, and then that's going to change special teams for later that day. It's going to change special teams for the rest of the week. And obviously, if guys go down, their role, certain guys' roles are going to increase on offense or defense. And again, it also, over the last 2 weeks, it's been like, okay, we've got to scale back. We've got to take something off this guy's plate by the end of the week. It's like, hey, we're good. We can get him back on. So as long as we have an opportunity to get him the practice reps, just based on schemes changing week to week, then we can make those adjustments. But again, it's day by day. Certain weeks it's hour by hour, but we have personnel conversations probably at least once a day, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day, just to make sure that we've got the right guys out.
The spread punt formation. Why is that so successful now in the game?
Yeah, I think just overall trying to have more athletes on the field and the more we can have spread out, the better obviously the better in coverage that we're going to be. Now there are going to be some times in certain situations where we're going to come out in a formation and expect more pressure, and just based on the situation of the game or where the ball's at on the field, and it's a protection first mindset. But anytime that we can spread people out and get as much speed on the field as we possibly can, and with how Lane's punting the ball right now with hang time and accuracy with his location, we're going to continue to do that until until something shows up where we've got to be a little bit more protection conscious and change some personnel and some formations.
Roy and I have been talking, and he says that you have analytics on the best time to ice the kicker.
We do, that it's gone back. It was originally an NFL study, just in terms of coming off the sideline, before his steps, after he's taken his steps. It's one of those things that you go back and forth with. It did not. I think we were 0 for 2 on icing kickers last year, which is it's part of the reason why I didn't want to call a timeout before at the end of the half on that 60-yarder, just because in the back of your mind, it didn't work out for us, in a couple games last year. So that stuff changes. There's information out there, and we're going to turn over every rock to get as much information as we can to try and make the best decisions. But at the same time, there's a certain level of just feel and past experience that goes into that as well.